All right, guys. Section 5 of our new first-time home buyer class. Sorry about that. So this is the fun part.
You can just restart.
I like it. I think we just go with it. This is the fun part. This is touring homes. What do you think?
Fun part? Best part for me.
Yeah.
It always shocks me when I go to a house and they're like, "I'm so sorry to bother you."
Yeah,
I'm like, "You do know this is what I do for a living, right?"
Yeah.
This is my job. Is coming out here and showing you.
Favorite part.
Absolutely.
Right? It doesn't feel like work for sure.
The contracts, the paperwork, all that's don't like that the best. Really good at it. Don't like that the best. Yeah. Touring houses though, I'll do all day.
All right, so the first thing realtors are going to do for you, so we've gone through all of our other sections on the first-time home buyers. If you haven't seen those yet, go back and look at them. This probably won't make as much sense till we have that framework in front of us. But what your trusted realtor is going to do, first of all, is going to set up those showings, right? So we're going to try to group them in areas. You know, we've already done our searches. You've picked out some of the ones we liked. You're going to come jump in our car with us or meet us there, whatever you're comfortable with. We'll start looking at houses, right? We're going to group them all together so that we can all make it efficient, go through those. We're going to have something there for you to write down notes. Taking notes when you're touring houses, I think, is one of the most important things. If you see more than 2 or 3 in a day, they all seem to run together. Now, that one that sticks out, the one that's you walk in and, yeah, it's it does stand out. But when we're going back to start looking about offer price, right? We want to be able to compare to the other things that we've had out there. And if we don't have those notes, it's not as easy to compare.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you're talking about grouping houses, when you've got a realtor, especially that knows the market, they're going to know where these houses are. Chances are when you throw the address out, we can drive past it in our minds. But we're going to schedule those so that we can go through them with ease. We obviously don't want to drive across town 15 times. Let's make sure we get them in a clear path. You also talk about setting up showings and approve them. A lot of times we do have to lean on a homeowner to allow access to a home. But we're going to set it up to the best for you guys' schedule. When it comes to make sure you're taking notes, I've had Saturdays where I've shown 10 houses to one client, and by the end of the day, they've built this dream home in their mind of the kitchen from this house, the yard from this house. And they're like, what was that one that had this? And I'm like, it was this house. And they're like, I don't think that's right. And I'm like, it was, but one, your realtor should come prepared to the showing. I like to provide all my clients with the MLS listing and all of the MLS listings. That way we can take notes on those. So when Eddie's talking about we'll bring something for you to take notes on, that's a great thing to do it on because you've got all the data, all the information right in your face, and you can write on that. So very important to take notes because you will build a different home in your mind based off how many houses you've seen. I don't know if Eddie does this, but I like to limit to 7 showings a day. And I know some people are in town for a certain amount of time. Like they only have 2 days here. We got to get as many in as we can. But if you're local, chances are finding 7 products that fit your criteria are hard already. But after the 7th, you're tired. You don't even want to look at houses anymore. Houses hadn't lived up to your expectations that you thought were the ones. And it can just get, you don't want it to become frustrating. Buying a house should be fun. And that's what we try to make it for you is fun. So
don't want it overwhelming, but also you're talking about taking those notes. If you're a Team Rockin' Sock client, you will get a fancy, very fancy Team Rockin' Sock pin to make those notes on. Or MLS. I don't know if that helps.
Blue
of
ink,
course, it's blue ink. Yeah. So part of your job while we're touring houses, right? We talk about taking those notes. Usually we take those on our way to the next house, but you want to picture yourself living in this home, right? It's all the features and all the qualities and the criteria that we're looking at. All that stuff's important, but you never know how a home's really going to feel until you can kind of picture yourself in it. Where are we going to eat dinner? Where are we going to eat breakfast? How am I going to get the kids ready? How am I going to decorate? Like, I think that's an important part of seeing yourself there when you're there. Let us take care of the visual cosmetic repairs or how the flow of the house is or how the construction is. We could take care of that. We'll talk about that when it hits all the needs and you guys see yourself living there. But that's an important thing is making sure that you feel comfortable there, you see yourself living there, and then we can take care of all the business part afterwards.
Yeah, I think sometimes you walk into a house and it's much more cluttered than you thought or something, and it makes spaces look small and it takes you to a whole different video, if you will, of working with sellers and making sure that the home is ready to see. But when you talk about touring a home, sometimes it is hard to picture yourself there because it's somebody else's decorations on the wall. It's their family pictures hanging on the wall. You kind of got to remove that out of your mind and look at it just for the space itself and imagine yourself in there with your belongings, if you will. But yeah, you have to put yourself in there and make it feel like it's home. Let us worry about the hard stuff. We'll take care of everything on the backside for you.
Yeah. So the next section is kind of private showings versus open houses. Um, I always tell my clients, I know there's a lot of people that like, just as a hobby, I want to go look at some houses. Let's go find a couple open houses. If you have an agent, don't go to those open houses alone. And there's nothing wrong with you to go in by yourself. But as an agent, when my clients are interested in going to those, I want to see what they're seeing. I want to see what they like. I want to be able to compare it because it helps me go back to the MLS. If that's not the one, helps me go back and see what they want. Now, one of those houses that hit 4 of the 5 criteria that just missed one, well, they said they like that in this one, and it just maybe opens our eyes a little bit more to what the client's wanting or needing.
Yeah, and then you'll also, when you go to those open houses, if you do fall in love with the house, we're professionals. We want to see it as well, so we can make sure that we've pointed out everything that we see, because we look at the house different than you look at the house. You're looking at it as this is going to be my place to come home, kick my shoes off after a hard day's work, whereas we're looking at it as an investment for you. And making sure we're looking at the woodwork on the house, if the door jambs are rotted out, things like that. So when you go to these open houses, if you fall in love with it, you call Eddie or myself and you say, hey, we're ready to go, make the offer. The agent told us there's more offers coming in. They try to scare tactic you into jumping in on it. Just make sure you're talking to your professional. It is best to take your professional with you, especially if you're looking to purchase in that moment, especially if you think it's going to fit your criteria. You might as well have them there. We're used to doing stuff on the weekends already. Like we said, this is our favorite part of the game. So let us know. We're happy to help you. But when you move from open houses into private showings, obviously a private showing, you would call us. We set that up through the MLS system, and we schedule a time to tour that's convenient for you. It's also convenient for the sellers.
And it's private. It's just us and you guys in there, so we can have conversations more about it. A lot of times at open houses and stuff, sometimes you feel rushed because there's a bunch of people around, or you don't really feel open to talk or ask questions there. Where that private showing can sometimes just help us uncover more about the house.
Yeah. And we talk about the difference in those private showings. A lot of times people will text me, they're like, hey, can I see this house today at 1? And it's 11 o'clock in the afternoon. For me, absolutely. This is what I do, so I'm excited to go. But there is a difference in vacant homes and occupied homes. Obviously, most occupied homes, the showing request will be made, and then it has to go to the sellers for them to approve or deny it, or give you another time that you can come. So don't think your agent isn't doing their job if you don't get approved for a 2-hour showing window. I tell my sellers, if somebody wants to see the house, let's let them see the house. That's how you're going to sell it, is by letting them come in and look. So if it's a vacant home, a lot of times you can go on a whim, add it to the schedule. But if you're already out looking at 2 and there's one down the road, you might not be able to get into that one. If it's an occupied home and it's a Sunday and they're just got home from church and they're eating lunch. So things to think about.
Other thing that I think is really important is, or at least important to me, is working with the team, right? If you want to see a house in a short notice, and let's say I'm busy or your realtor is busy, sometimes it's hard to get in those very desirable houses, especially with inventory being low. We've got a team, so if I'm busy, I know Ian's there. He can jump on it, and Ian knows I'm there. We've got other people on our team, Heather or Tana, and that can help show those houses like that if that's what we need.
Yeah, I want to throw one more part in here on touring homes. A lot of people do like on the weekends to go to open houses. My wife and I were like that as well, but I'm also in the real estate game, so for me it's a little different. But if you walk into a new construction community as a buyer, this goes for all buyers, first-time home buyers, seasoned veteran buyers. When you walk into that community, you have to let those people know that you are working with a real estate professional, because they will sign you up for a contract before you even know you signed up for a contract. So make sure your realtor is with you for those. And if they're not, make sure you loop them in on the conversation that you're there. and let them ask that agent the questions, because you can get into that one pretty quick.
Yeah, and we could talk about this all day, but just know that those on-site agents, they work for the builder. They don't have your interests, and so make sure that you have somebody that's representing you and has your interests at heart. Like I said, we could talk about this all day. If you have any questions that we haven't covered over this, feel free to reach out to us. That concludes part 5. Next, part 6, and that is, we've done all the touring, we got everything. Now it's time to make an offer. Join us. We'll be back in just a little bit.